Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fluent Podcast. I'm Jake, and I'm here with my co-host Ava. We're the show that helps you level up your English through real conversations, not boring grammar lessons.
What's up, guys? Yeah, I'm Ava, and before we dive into today's topic, can we just talk about something real quick? Over 90% of you listening right now aren't subscribed to the channel. Like, what? We're out here having these amazing conversations every week, and you're not hitting that subscribe button?
I know, right? It's literally free, people. Just smash that subscribe button. It helps us so much, and honestly, it takes like 2 seconds. Anyway, today we're talking about something that I know hits home for so many of you.
Oh my God, yes. The whole, I can understand everything you're saying, but when I try to speak, my brain just shuts down thing.
Dude, I was just thinking about this the other day. You know when you're watching a movie or listening to a podcast like this one, and you're following along perfectly, you're even laughing at the jokes, getting all the references?
Right. And then someone asks you a simple question in English, and suddenly you're like a deer in headlights. Your mouth just refuses to cooperate.
Exactly. It's like your brain has this English understanding switch that works perfectly, but the speaking switch is just broken.
Oh, this reminds me of something so embarrassing that happened to me when I was learning Spanish. I was in Barcelona and I'd been watching Spanish Netflix for months. I thought I was ready.
Oh no, where's this going?
So I walk into this cafe and the barista asks me what I want. Simple question, right? I understood her perfectly. But when I tried to order, I just stood there making weird hand gestures like I was playing charades.
No way! What did you end up doing?
I literally pointed at someone else's coffee and said, "That one," in the most broken Spanish ever. The barista was so confused and I was mortified. But here's the thing, I knew exactly what I wanted to say in my head.
That's the thing, though. Your brain knew the words, but there's this gap between knowing and actually producing the language. It's like having all the ingredients for a cake, but not knowing how to bake it.
That's actually a perfect analogy, Jake. And this is something every English learner goes through. You're not broken, you're not stupid, you're just experiencing something totally normal.
For sure. And can we talk about how frustrating this must be? Like, you're consuming English content all day. You're understanding complex ideas, following along with conversations, maybe even thinking in English sometimes.
Yeah, and then you get into a real situation. Maybe you're ordering food at a restaurant, or you bump into someone at work, or you're trying to ask for directions, and suddenly you can't string two words together.
It's like your confident English understanding self just vanishes, and you're left with this panicked version of yourself that can barely remember how to say, "Excuse me."
And the worst part is that the other person is probably thinking you don't understand English at all, when really you understood every single word they said.
Oh, that's so true. They might start talking slower or using simpler words, and you're internally screaming like, "No, I get it. I just can't make my mouth work."
Exactly. So if you're listening to this and nodding along like crazy, first of all, we see you. Second of all, this is way more common than you think.
Way more common. Ava and I get messages about this literally every week. People are like, "I can follow your entire podcast, but I can't have a basic conversation with my coworker."
And here's something that might make you feel better. This happens with your native language too sometimes. Haven't you ever had a moment where you knew exactly what you wanted to say, but the words just wouldn't come out right?
Oh, totally. Like when you're put on the spot in a meeting, or you're trying to explain something complicated to someone. Your brain knows it all, but your mouth is like, "Nope, not today."
Right. So imagine that feeling, but in a second language, where you're already a little less confident. Of course, it's going to be harder.
The thing is, understanding and speaking use different parts of your brain. When you're listening, you're in passive mode. You're receiving information, processing it, connecting it to things you already know.
But speaking, that's active mode. You have to choose words, put them in the right order, worry about pronunciation, think about grammar, all while trying to have a normal conversation.
And let's be real, there's also this pressure thing happening. When you're watching Netflix, nobody's waiting for you to respond. You can pause, rewind, look up words if you need to.
But in a real conversation, there's this time pressure. The other person is waiting, and you feel like you have to say something right now. And that pressure just makes everything worse.
That's so true. It's like performance anxiety, but for your mouth. And the more you worry about it, the worse it gets.
Which brings us to something super important. You've got to be patient with yourself. Like, seriously, you're not failing if you can understand but can't speak yet. You're just at a different stage of learning.
Think about it this way. When babies learn their first language, they understand way more than they can say for like the first year or two of their lives. They know what "come here" means, but they can't say it back.
That's such a good point, Jake. And nobody expects a baby to suddenly start having philosophical discussions just because they understand when you ask them if they want milk.
Exactly. So why are we putting that pressure on ourselves with a second language? Your understanding is actually building the foundation for your speaking. Every podcast episode you listen to, every movie you watch, every conversation you follow, that's all preparing your brain for when you're ready to speak.
And here's something that might surprise you. A lot of the work is happening in the background. Your brain is literally rewiring itself to handle English. It's creating pathways, making connections, storing patterns.
It's like your brain is doing construction work while you sleep. One day you might just find yourself responding naturally without even thinking about it.
But we're not going to leave you hanging with just be patient. We've got some real strategies that can help bridge that gap between understanding and speaking. The key is starting small and building up your confidence.
So let's talk about this step by step. First thing, and Ava's gonna laugh because I say this all the time, you need to start talking to yourself.
Here he goes again with the self-talk. But honestly, Jake's right. It sounds weird, but it works.
I'm serious. When you're alone in your room, in the shower, walking to work, just start narrating your day in English. Like, okay, now I'm making coffee, the water's boiling, I need to add sugar.
It's like practice without the pressure. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's waiting for an answer. You can mess up, restart, try different ways of saying things.
Exactly. And here's the cool part. You're taking all that passive vocabulary from the podcasts and movies you've been consuming, and you're making it active. You're literally training your mouth to move with English words.
Plus, you'll start to notice which words feel comfortable in your mouth and which ones you struggle with. Like, maybe you can say comfortable perfectly when you're listening, but when you try to say it out loud, you realize you're not sure about the pronunciation.
That's such valuable information. Once you know what you're struggling with, you can work on it. But if you never try to speak, you'll never know.
Another thing that really helps is what I call shadowing. You know when you're watching a show or listening to something and a character says a line that you really like?
Oh, like when you hear someone say something and you think, wow, I want to be able to say that naturally.
Yes, so pause whatever you're watching and repeat that line. Try to match their rhythm, their intonation, even their emotion. Do it a few times until it feels natural.
This is genius because you're not creating language from scratch. You're borrowing phrases that already work, that native speakers actually use.
And you're training your ear and your mouth at the same time. You're hearing how it should sound, then making your mouth produce those sounds.
You know what else helps? Starting with situations you can predict. Like, if you know you're going to order coffee tomorrow, practice that conversation at home first.
Oh, yes, rehearsal is so underrated. Think about what the barista might ask. What can I get you? What size? For here or to go? And practice your responses.
And here's a pro tip. Have backup phrases ready. Like if you freeze up, you can always say, "Sorry, can you repeat that?" Or "Let me think for a second."
Those are like your safety nets. Native speakers use phrases like that all the time. It's totally normal to need a moment to think.
Speaking of normal, can we talk about how perfectionism is probably your biggest enemy right now?
Oh my God, yes. The number of people who won't speak because they're afraid of making mistakes is heartbreaking.
Like you're worried about your grammar, your accent, using exactly the right word. Meanwhile, native speakers are out here making mistakes constantly and nobody cares.
I mess up in English all the time. Sometimes I start a sentence and halfway through, I realize I don't know where I was going with it.
Same. And you know what happens? The conversation continues. People understand what you mean, even if it's not perfect.
The goal isn't to sound like a textbook. The goal is to communicate. If someone understands what you're trying to say, you've succeeded.
And here's something that might blow your mind. When you're talking to native speakers, they're not analyzing your grammar. They're listening to your ideas.
Totally. Unless you're in an English class, people are way more interested in what you have to say than how you say it.
So give yourself permission to be imperfect. Actually, embrace being imperfect. Some of the most interesting conversations I've had were with people who weren't perfect English speakers, but they had amazing things to share.
And you know what? Your mistakes might not even be mistakes. They might just be different ways of expressing yourself that are totally understandable.
Oh, and here's something practical. Find people to practice with who are in the same boat as you. Language exchange partners, online communities, other learners.
Yes, because they get it. They're not going to judge you for pausing or searching for words. They're probably doing the same thing.
Plus, explaining things to other learners can actually help your own speaking. When you help someone else with English, you're using your language skills in a low-pressure way.
And if you're not ready for real conversations yet, technology is your friend. Voice messaging apps, recording yourself, even talking to AI chatbots. Anything that gets you speaking out loud.
The key is just starting somewhere. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be a full conversation. Just start making sounds with your mouth in English.
You know what I love about the people who listen to this podcast? You're already doing the hard part. You're consuming English content, you're learning, you're growing. Speaking is just the next step.
And it's not even a big step. It's like you've been learning to ride a bike by watching other people ride bikes, and now you just need to get on and try it yourself.
You might wobble at first, you might need training wheels, but you already understand how bikes work. The mechanics are there in your brain.
Exactly. Your understanding is your foundation. Now you just need to build confidence on top of it.
And confidence comes from practice, not from being perfect. Every time you speak English, even if it's just to yourself, you're building that confidence.
So here's your homework. And yes, I'm calling it homework because I'm feeling teachery today. This week, I want you to have one conversation with yourself every day. Just 5 minutes.
Ooh, I like this. Pick a topic, maybe describe a movie you watched, or talk about what you did over the weekend. Pretend you're telling a friend about it.
And don't worry if you have to pause, or if you mix languages, or if you can't think of a word. Just keep going. The goal is to get comfortable with the feeling of producing English sounds.
By the end of the week, I guarantee you'll notice a difference. Maybe you'll feel a little less panicked when you need to speak English unexpectedly.
Or maybe you'll realize you actually know more words than you thought you did. Sometimes we just need to give our brains permission to access what's already there.
All right, we're wrapping up, but before we go, if this episode helped you, please do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. Seriously, it makes such a difference for the channel.
And drop a comment. Tell us about your own I understand but can't speak moments. We read every single comment, and honestly, your stories inspire our future episodes.
Plus, share this with other English learners in your life. Chances are they're dealing with the exact same thing, and knowing they're not alone can be really powerful.
Remember, you're not broken, you're not behind, you're just at a different stage of your English journey. Understanding is huge, and speaking will come.
Be patient with yourself, practice a little bit every day, and celebrate the small wins. You've got this, and we're here cheering you on.
Thanks for hanging out with us today, everyone. I'm Jake.
And I'm Ava. We'll catch you next week on the Fluent Podcast.